7 signs that your relationship is at risk of cheating. And the truth is, I almost didn't do this video for you because this is a hard topic. It's an anxiety-provoking topic, and the reality is I just couldn't put my head in the sand about it, and I don't want you to either. So I brought back Anita Chapala. She is a fully licensed 14-year veteran, shall we say, of dating and relationship therapy here in Chicago. She's the author of First Comes Us, The Busy Couple's Guide to Lasting Love. And I've got her in today to talk about this uncomfortable topic because, Anita, you see this all the time and it doesn't get enough air, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I think people, again, they don't think they can cheat, or they don't really realize how often and how common it is because people don't talk about it.
You were saying 80%. We recently filmed a video on the 5 steps to prevent cheating in your relationship. 80% of couples experience infidelity in some way in their relationships.
Right. That was the highest statistic I've been able to find. And I believe it actually because a lot of my couples who come in and they've, dealing with infidelity, they don't tell anybody about it.
It's just kept to them.
Right.
You're like, you have to tell a friend or someone.
Right.
So what is the first warning sign, Anita? How does someone know that their relationship is at risk of infidelity?
So one common trait or characteristic, I should say, because you're not born this way, but someone who is conflict avoidant. And so a person who avoids conflict with their partner, because sometimes people can be different at work. They feel more comfortable addressing conflict at work. But with your romantic partner, when you avoid conflict, it creates a lot of problems because you're not as satisfied in your relationship. And then it makes you a lot more vulnerable to the attention of somebody else.
Because it creates this space, right, where you don't want to talk about tough topics, you don't want to have uncomfortable conversations, and from there that space increases, and pretty soon one thing's led to another, and that's how cheating happens.
Yeah, and you could easily think, well, this wouldn't be the case with somebody else. Kind of a little bit of like that grass is greener versus actually telling your partner what you need, giving them the opportunity, to address your concerns to make your relationship as good as it could be.
And this is why it's so important to see how someone communicates the tough issues, not how they are on a good day, but how they communicate the difficult conversations. Number 2 is super important, and it's a standard I have all my clients look for in a man. It's his level of impulsivity or impulsive behavior. Frankly, the more impulsive someone is, the more likely that person is to make a bad decision. Doesn't even just have to be cheating. It can be doing drugs or some kind of alcohol choice, or it could be something around making a bad decision in any money, health area of life. If someone is impulsive, naturally, not talking about spontaneity, I'm talking about impulsiveness. The more impulsively emotional someone is, the higher the risk they are of cheating in a relationship. Number 3, Anita, is avoidant attachment styles.
Yeah, so basically avoidant attachment is someone who prefers space and distance in a relationship.
They lean
can't,
away.
Yeah,
naturally.
They can't handle a lot of intimacy. And the reason why people who are avoidantly attached cheat is because cheating actually is a way of creating a lot of distance. Yep.
And pushing back.
Yes.
Yeah. So important. If you're with a man, I've seen this time and time again, where even though she's been great, he's been the one to betray her. Yeah. And she's done nothing wrong. And that is because these people feel safer with space. And this is why it's so important to know what attachment styles look like and aim to date secure, connected men. Number 4 is opportunity. And the reality is the more opportunity someone has, the higher the risk they are of cheating. If someone has none of the other factors, then opportunity is not going to be an issue. But opportunity is one of the risk factors that stacks up. Just like smoking would stack up as a risk factor for bad health, constant opportunity stacks up as a risk factor for infidelity. Number 5, Anita,
is family life cycle. So a common time that we look at in a couple's relationship is when the cheating happened. And frequently it's at a point such as the birth of a first child, maybe getting laid off from a job. It does contribute
some
to,
changes.
Yes. Yeah. And so looking at the timeline and where the relationship was at the time can give us a lot of information about what the client was going through or what the person was going through when they were cheating.
And how do you help couples deal with that if they say, well, this risk factor pops up and he's got the opportunity? How can you actually help a couple deal with that?
Well, because we always try to close the loop. So, like, let's say if there's a birth of a first child and let's say the dad, felt like, well, where do I fit in?
Yeah.
Then we make sure that his role as a father is the way that he wants to be. And that sometimes I have to tell the mother, like, you might have to back off to allow him to be the kind of father that he,
Yeah,
that he wants to be.
absolutely.
Like,
I've
let
heard that a
him
lot.
develop that role. It's not just about how you want to parent.
Number 6 is desensitization. I couldn't help but laugh at this one, but it's so true. What did you mean by this?
So a couple of things. We're bombarded by infidelity on TV. Like, you can't turn on a show or the movie.
Every Christmas movie.
Yes, there's
Love,
so many
actually.
emotional affairs. But also, like, research does show that if your, close friends, family cheat, like even coworkers, if there's, that attitude of like, oh, it's no big deal, then you are much more likely to cheat.
Number 7 is the lack of definition around cheating. I wanted to end with this one because it's one of the most important. In our video on 5 steps to preventing cheating, this is the first point we talk about because we live in such a grey society now. The definitions of cheating are much less obvious and it's much easier to cross those boundaries and get on the slippery slope. One thing happens, you lead to another, it creates this momentum of micro-cheating, and then from there, it happens when the opportunity presents. These risk factors all add up. So how can a couple really have their definition strong?
Well, you have to define it, and it can't be just assuming the definition. And my recommendation would be to also define emotional cheating. Those are usually characterized by secrecy, there's an emotional connection, and then sexual tension that hasn't been acted on. And there's also behaviors that could break trust. You talk about micro-cheating, because that's a gray area. Not everyone is going to agree on their definition of what cheating is, but there could be behaviors that break trust. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's cheating. And so having that open dialogue, and please revisit your definition. This is not a one-time conversation. You should be revisiting that definition at least once a year.
Yeah, I love that. And this is so important, this whole video, because it might create some anxiety, it might create some discomfort, but you know what? Sorry, not sorry. These conversations have to be had, right?
Yeah.
This needs to come out.
Yeah, and I don't want anyone watching to think, oh my gosh, my boyfriend has one of these. It really, it does not mean your partner is going to cheat.
Accumulation, and it's the
Yes.
message that be aware of this. Like, start to have these conversations where you define it and openly communicate these things.
Yes.
And if you look at the steps to preventing cheating video, we show you exactly how to do that. So make sure you check that one out. It's in the link above and in the description below. Anita, this really is such important content. So I really appreciate you coming in and sharing it. We're going to do another video on unmet needs and having a look at why men cheat. So when that is out, we'll put that in the description below as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think of the content? I'm really curious for your feedback on this one. So make sure you type something, leave it below. I'll get Anita to check out the comments as well. All down there, you know what to do. Hit the thumbs up button and of course the big red subscribe button with the little bell so you get all the notifications. Anita, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next video very soon.